the Tribes of Tattooine. I'm so excited to get into this. Let's break it down. I'm just going to start out with this. I'm sorry I don't have the lights on behind me. I misplaced the little remote that turns them on. I have no idea where it went. It's very small. It's very easy to misplace, and hopefully I can find it before we do the next breakdown. So in the beginning of this episode, we see Boba Fett and Fennec Shand just kind of coming off the fight from the last episode, and they take a prisoner back to the palace and they put it in this pit, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, the Rancor, but it's gone. Please don't have the Rancor there, because that wouldn't be consistent with Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, when Luke killed it. So they put him into the pit and the Rancor's gone. They just kind of did it as a scare tactic, and they're like, let's go take this guy to the mayor. I thought the mayor was really interesting. It was an alien, but he was like speaking not basic, but he had a translator to translate in basic so we can understand what he was saying. That was all very cool, very different. I enjoyed the route they took there. They could have easily just had him speak basic, and instead they were like, no, we want to make this as authentic as possible. Meanwhile, Boba Fett is just kind of telling the mayor the plans and all that, and the mayor says, hey, starting a family is not going to be easy. And I like the way they used that to set up that this is kind of a mafia show in the Star Wars universe. It just really worked for me there. So the mayor tells him, go to the sanctuary, you'll see what I'm talking about. And he goes to this place with all this scum and villainy, right? Like we've seen before many times in Tatooine. And there's really not a lot of classy folk there that, you know, he could recruit to kind of help him out. But then he runs into that Twi'lek that's played by Jessica Biel's in the show, and she's actually pretty good in it for what she has to do. I like her in it. It's around here Boba Fett just kind of gets warned about some twins. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what's that supposed to mean? He walks outside, then we find out there's a couple remaining huts left. It was really interesting to see that, and it's gonna kind of put a wrench into his whole plan and everything, and they're kind of threatening him, saying, hey, this was Jabba's territory. And how badass was it to see that Wookiee warrior? That was so cool. That guy looked mean. I bet he's gonna come back around at some point in the show, and I can't wait to see Boba just get into a fight with him. I enjoyed that little humorous moment between him and Fennec Shand where he was like, I think it's settled, I think we're good, and Fennec's like, you really believe that? And Boba's just like, no. Then we kind of see Boba in the back to tank again. He's still healing, and then we end up getting another flashback to what happened between Return of the Jedi and The Mandalorian Season 2. This to me is where the real meat of the show came into play, because now we're seeing Boba back with the Tusken Raiders. I like the interactions between them, and really this whole thing of recruiting Boba Fett to become part of the tribe was incredible to watch. I loved it so much. And we're starting to see him train with the gaffy stick, and I really like that because it started to make sense to me why Boba Fett had one when we saw him in Mandalorian Season 2. This episode was really just filled with so much new information. It's really building the world, building the Tusken Raiders. The fact that we kind of learned that the Tusken Raiders have many different tribes. They kind of talk about how they've kind of been around since Tatooine was a water planet. Really fantastic stuff here. Really great world building, really great information. Just really dug all of that. I really dug all the different fighting styles we got to see with the gaffy sticks, considering in the past when we saw them being used by the Tusken Raiders, it just kind of looked like Schwarzenegger pumping iron on Prozac.
You have a popo or an inside popo.
But getting into the meat of the story was what really made it work. Seeing this train go by that's been kind of bothering them for a long time, and nobody really wants to go after the train, but Boba Fett steps up. He's going to earn their respect even more now, right? Because he's saying, give me like a night, I'll come back and come up with a plan to go after this train, to stop this train next time it comes around. So Boba Fett goes out, he goes to this bar, right? And he starts beating up all these guys. It's like a speeder bike gang, and I thought that was a really nice touch added to the show. He grabs all these speeder bikes. It was so cool to watch him just carry all the speeder bikes the way he did. I'd never thought I'd see anything like that in Star Wars. It was really quite the image, honestly. I really enjoyed that aspect of it. So he comes back with the speeder bikes, and I had such a blast just watching him train these Tusken Raiders how to use the speeder bikes. I thought that really made a lot of this episode. It was so funny. It was so entertaining. Now we're kind of getting the influences of Dances with Wolves meets Seven Samurai. It was just really, really cool. You could see the influence all over this thing. Finally, Boba and the Tuscans, they go out on this heist. It's a lot of fun to watch. The shots were incredible. I really like Steph Greene's style in directing this episode. And honestly, Steph Greene has really only directed a handful of television episodes in the past. I was really surprised that she was selected to do this episode of the Book of Boba Fett. And Jon Favreau, as a creator, has just shown time and time again he could pick the people that we're not even thinking of to direct his episodes of television. It's so cool to see new creatives, and it really keeps the show feeling fresh week to week. So they go on the heist and they succeed after this big, fantastic action sequence. It was awesome stuff. I love this episode so much. So then the tribe is all sitting around the fire with Boba Fett, and they give him this like lizard, and I loved when it kind of crawled up his nose and Boba Fett thought he swallowed it on accident, or that it crawled up there on accident. And really that's what was supposed to happen, because the Tusken Raiders basically like, you guided us, so let us guide you. But what Boba's about to go on is more of a spiritual journey, and I really love the flashbacks to his childhood during this. I thought the visuals of the tree was incredibly artsy. It just looked very awesome. And now, I mean, Boba just really starts to get initiated. Now we're starting to understand why he showed up the way he did in The Mandalorian Season 2 with that black robe and everything. I think Tamora Morrison really does have this sort of charming quality to him on screen. And oh my God, I could have freaking cried when they were all dancing around that fire. What a beautifully shot sequence, and just wonderful to watch, and just very well choreographed, and went with the music so well. The score here was a real standout in this episode. I know like Ludwig had composed most of it, so that was really fun to watch. This episode of the Book of Boba Fett was really great. It was a big step up from last week. I enjoyed it. I'm so hooked into the show now. I can't wait for next week. It's just got me so excited. That was the one disappointment, is just that there wasn't more afterward. I want it now, and I can't wait. So after last week's episode of breaking down the pilot last week, I mean, I ended up finding out that got a lot of backlash. And one thing I would say to that is I feel like we're starting to get very reactionary to things that just aren't what we expect. And I get it, we hold Star Wars very near and dear to our hearts, but I just fear being so reactionary toward things. I saw comments like Star Wars should die, or Star Wars is dead, or Boba Fett should just end right now. And I think it's overkill a little bit just to do that over one lackluster episode. I know that some people didn't like it. I enjoyed it, and I stand by that. I did like that first episode, not nearly as much as I enjoyed this one, but that first episode of Boba Fett was fantastic. And I really hope that that narrative changes now that this episode is out, because I just thought people were way too reactionary, and I understand that people are passionate, and it's fine if you didn't like it. I understand why. I did say last week there's an argument to be made that that pilot was anticlimactic, but just happy to see, hopefully, that the narrative changes after this one. I think a lot more fans are going to be on board now with how great this episode was, how stylistic it was, and kudos again to Steph Greene. I hope that this boosts her to the next level and she can start making actual feature films, because she really does have a good eye behind the camera. Anyway, guys, let me know what you did think of this episode of Book of Boba Fett. I'd be really curious to know. Let me know if you're excited for next week. What do you think is going to happen next week? What are your theories? Let us know in the comment section below. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, leave some feedback in the comment section, share this with your friends, and hit the bell for notifications. Much appreciated. Thank you very much. I've been Don Martino, and we'll see you guys later.